game face on when I chase like that. Yeah, I play so strong with a knife in the back. I'ma swing home run like a baseball bat. Gonna see me rise, you can hate on that. I don't play both sides, doing me no cap. I'ma ride or die for my dreams on tap. I'ma fly real high, you ain't see me slack. No, it's not how you fall, it's how you get right back up. That's how you get tough, callous.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. Today I'm going to be doing a video talking about 28 Years Later. Now this is going to be non-spoiler up to a certain point. So when I'm going to get into spoilers towards the end of this video, I'll let you know. So it's been an interesting one this, because a lot of reviewers that I listen to and trust quite well, there's a number of them, and they seem to be 50-50, not the individual is 50-50, but like half of the ones that I trust have said this movie is boring, it's rubbish, it's completely, the trailer missells it, it's just bizarre, it's form over substance. The other half, so people like Oliver Harper, Mr. H Reviews, have said this film is really good. It's visually very stunning, but also the film itself, the story, the characters is great. But like I say, some of the other reviewers were kind of saying things like it's good in concept but not execution. I kind of disagree with that. I mean, I can definitely agree with what people have said, that the trailer maybe missells this a little bit, because the vibe that you get from the trailer is very much more of the same with what we had so far, which is good, because if you like 28 Days and Weeks Later, mostly 28 Days Later, because that 28 Weeks Later was more kind of for an American audience. It was still good though. But the trailer for this one I just had the feel of that original film. And this film doesn't as such have the feel of that original film. But that, I say not in a bad way, this expands it, and it is more about the characters in the film rather than the bigger picture, what's happened to England and the UK. So I can see some of the criticisms. Some people are comparing this in a negative way to last year's A Quiet Place. Is it Year One or Day One, I think it was called, which I thought was a terrible movie. And I liked the A Quiet Place movies, but that film last year was just terrible. And it kind of, in some ways, it was bad, because I thought it was bad because being Day One, you kind of wanted to see Day One, like what happened, how it all kicked off, what the responses were, what the failures were. You didn't get much of that in A Quiet Place Day One. I can't remember. Was that the name of the film? Who cares? I don't remember it. I don't want to remember it. Whereas this one doesn't really show you much of the world. It's more about the characters, but it's a great story. If you've seen the reviews of this, other reviews, you kind of know what the film's about. But like I said, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, so I'm not going to get too deep into like who the characters are and so on. But the thing pretty much follows the child in the film. So if you're hoping for an Aaron Taylor Johnson movie, this isn't it. He is good in the film, but he's quite limited in it. He's in it for like maybe the first half hour quite a bit, and then he's pretty much out of it after that. Some people said that, and I thought, I've spoiled the film because obviously he dies then. I'm not saying he dies. He's just taken out of the film, and he's back in it later on. So whether he lives or dies, I'm not spoiling that at all. But don't focus on that anyway, because like I say, he's not in the film too much. It's more about the child and the child's mum. The child is about 12, I believe. And it's basically, you could sort of say, a coming of age, a rite of passage story for him. He goes through a lot in this film, from where he is at the beginning, the stuff that happens to him. Now, it's like I say, it's kind of difficult to say too much without spoiling it, but I really enjoyed this film. I'd heard some people say, I think Oliver Harper said, it's better than 28 Weeks Later, which I thought, really? Because I quite like that film. And he said maybe even as good as 28 Days Later. And I thought, that is a bold statement. I can see why. I wouldn't say it is. I say 28 Days Later is the classic and will stay the classic and the best. Not just because it's the first film, but because it was the better. It was just a great film. It was a 10 out of 10 film. This, I would say, I'd probably give it about an 8 out of 10. And for me, that's quite high because I don't give 8s, 9s, and 10s away very easily. Most films that I watch are usually 6s and 7s. 10 is just masterpiece. And I would say 28 Days Later is that. This, I wouldn't say is a masterpiece, but it's very good. It's like I said, it's hard to get into too much without the spoilers. I've heard some people say that the film is just a joke. The zombies are like shot something out of Shaun of the Dead. I don't know where that's come from. The zombies are like the zombies out of 28 Days and Weeks Later. Some of them, there's like an evolution with the thing. So you've got your different types of zombies. I'll get into that when I get into the spoilers part of it. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there for the non-spoilers bit anyway. Like I say, if you've been put off by the negative reviews, as I was, because I was originally going to go see this a few days ago and I hesitated. But if you're put off by the negative reviews, I say give it a chance. I'm glad I did. Give it a watch and see what you think. Now, some people, I'm not quite hitting the spoilers just yet. I'm coming to the end of the non-spoiler bit, but some people said something about what happens at the end and how it's weird and jarring, and people just didn't get it. I hadn't read anything about it other than like some vague stuff, so nobody's explained it to me. So my interpretation, which I'll get into in the spoiler bit, is my interpretation. I may be way off the mark, but I don't think I am. I think I'm right. So that's it for non-spoilers. We're going to get into the spoilers now. So the ending of the movie, basically, the child character called Spike goes back to the island by himself. I think because of what he's been through, I don't think he wants to just go back to desolation on the island. He feels like there's a calling for him to go back onto the mainland and stay there and maybe just learn more because of the adventure that he's been on so far. As terrible as it was, he wants to know more. And what people had said was there's in the last 2 minutes of the film, that scene, and it is the last, it's not like a 2-minute thing towards it, and it's literally the last 2 minutes of the film, and then the credits roll. It's very jarring, very weird, completely out of place. It doesn't belong in the film. It's almost comedy-like. People were laughing in the cinema. I think they were laughing because they didn't get it. They were laughing in the cinema where I went, and there were people like just totally baffled by that in scene. And it's like, I totally understand it, and it is so fitting with the rest of the film. That's what would happen. I'll tell you what I mean in a moment, anyway. But it's basically what I heard was Jimmy Saville Ninjas. And they weren't wrong. So the child Spike goes back to the island and he's fending for himself, and he's just basically in this area, and he's like got a raw fish and he's cooking it, and all these like zombies kind of come running at him, and he's going to be overwhelmed. And then all of a sudden, this guy rocks up on the top of this rock, and when people were saying Jimmy Saville Ninjas, I thought they're supposed to be Jimmy Saville Ninjas. Is that just what the audience have said? No, these are supposed to look like Jimmy Saville. They've got the long blonde hair, the jewelry. There's an upside down cross as well, which is a symbol of Satanism. The tracksuits, and they've got this like, oh, now. They don't say now then, but it's that sort of kind of like thing that the guy's got. And he kind of shouts down to the kid and he says, you don't mind if we handle this for you, these zombies that are running at you? And the kid's like, yeah, please. And then it's not just this one guy in a rock, a load of other of these guys that are dressed exactly the same, long white blonde hair, chains, tracksuits. They just come down and start beating the shit out of these zombies and save this kid. And then the main one, there's one that's got like the upside down cross and the biggest chain, I guess he's a leader, comes down to the kid and he says, kind of introduces himself as Jimmy. Now, if anyone who's watching this outside the UK might not know, we had a very, it was a huge celebrity in I believe even the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and into the 90s. kind of faded a little bit after that, called Jimmy Savile. He was a children's TV presenter, and he was a very high-level paedophile, and the rest. And it didn't come out until after he died that this was going on, and a lot of people knew about it. I knew about it, and well, yeah, I won't get too much into that, but so it's a notorious thing, very very specific to Britain. This as well. Most people outside the UK aren't going to understand this scene; they're going to think it's weird. So he introduces himself to the kid as Jimmy, and he says something like, "Pleased to meet you," which isn't good. And people don't understand it. That kid's mincemeat, really, if it plays out in the way that's kind of inferred there. Very much in the same sense that the people that go to "the answer to infection is here" in the first film, you've got the military, and they're just basically a rape squad. And it's spelt out in the film, early on in the film, when the kid's dad, Aaron Taylor Johnson, takes him to the mainland and says, there's a lot of weird people in the mainland. There's also the people that survived it. It's not just the zombies you've got to watch out for. There's a lot of other shit out there as well that's human. This is a concept in a lot of movies. You get this in like the Alien movies, for example. It's not just the alien, it's the company that you've got to watch out for. The human element as well can be just as bad, if not worse. I don't know which species is worse. You don't see the aliens fucking each other for a goddamn percentage, remember? So this scene is basically, it makes sense. You would have elements like that in a post-apocalyptic society. You'd have the grooming gangs, the rape gangs that exist in the real world. There would be pockets of those that survive because they are the most what's the word I'm looking for? I was gonna say reptilian. I don't mean like as in the David Icke reptilian. I just meant like the survival instinct. The like rats basically go underground. They know how to survive. They will do the nastiest shit to feed their desires, whether that desire is, having sex or just having supplies, food, shelter, all that kind of stuff. The predatory class, that's what I meant, not reptilian, predatory class, would learn how to survive. Those grooming gangs, it kind of stands to reason that to them, Jimmy Savile would be an icon, because this is a pre-2002 society that kind of went in a different direction to us. In this movie, it shows what's the name of the tree that's on Adrian's wall that got chopped down in 2023. You've seen Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? There's a scene early on in the film with a tree where a kid gets chased into the tree and Robin Hood saves him and has a fight with Guy Gisborne. It's a famous tree in the UK and it got chopped down by vandals in 2023, so that tree is no more. That tree is in this film because this film exists. It's kind of there as saying this is a different timeline to what you have, because this film's set in like 2030, I believe. Whereas that film in our reality was actually cut down in 2023. So this film is basically, like I say, it's veered off course. It's a different timeline. And in this timeline, Jimmy Savile was never actually rumbled. Jimmy Savile was known about, and sick fucks that survived the infection breakout would know how to survive, and they'd probably be having a really good time with it because they're a bunch of sick bastards. They would know how to survive and do what it takes to survive. Whereas nice people are the ones that get killed first. People don't understand that ending. That's my interpretation of it anyway. So, understanding, if you go back to that original film, again, who survived? It was the nastiest bastards that kind of had the shit together, took over a mansion, and it was a place of safety from the infected. But would you want to hang out there? Not really. So same with this kid's kind of going to be taken in by these sick fucks, basically. That's not a good ending. But a lot of people are confused by it. That's my take. Am I completely off there? like I said, this is solely my interpretation. Nobody else has explained this to me in the way that I've just said. But that's what it means to me anyway. I could completely be embarrassed by this video if I've just completely misunderstood all that and just ranted on. Probably a lot of that might not have even made sense. So yeah, I'll probably have to cut this video short, to be fair, because I didn't want to do a long video. But yeah, I did want to focus on that ending. It's a bit troubling as well. It is jarring. There's no denying that. The critics of it were saying it is a jarring ending, but I don't think that they understood it, because I don't think they quite understand things. The world that we live in. Probably shouldn't be laughing, but there you go. The rest of the film, in terms of any other spoilers, what else can I say really? It does answer a few things. You've obviously got the mutation element, so the infected, you've got the really fast ones, which kind of like we've seen before. I think they're called runners or something. So we've seen them in the other movies, but you've got the really, really fat ones that can't even stand up. And they just kind of like crawl around on the floor. They're very slow. They're really fat. And then you've got the alphas, which are about 7 foot at least, and very difficult to kill. And also there's an element of this about infected being able to reproduce, because there's one bit in the film where there's a pregnant one and she actually has a baby. And weirdly enough, the baby is, from what you see in the film, a normal baby, isn't infected. And Dr. Kelso, I think it is, played by Ray Fiennes, really good character, by the way, which is not a surprise because he's a really good actor. He says something about these babies being born normal, and because he just finds this out, and he just says something about the amazing healing power or whatever, or the amazing power of the placenta being able to come from a rage-infected woman and be born without that. So that's quite interesting. It's like I say, some people have said a good film in concept but not execution. I disagree. I think that they did a really good job. I just think a lot of people were very confused by this because the film doesn't spell it out. But if you understand certain things, or if you've pondered over certain things, like what would happen in a situation like this, whether or not it's this exact situation or just generally with like a post-apocalyptic situation, you kind of wonder like what would happen with like children, like babies and stuff. And this film kind of deals with that a little bit. I mean, it could be done better. It could be elaborated on a bit more. Some have said that this film is just a setup for the next one, which from what I understand comes out in January 2026, The Bone Temple. I'm a bit concerned with the director of that film being Nia DaCosta. I'm not going to get into it, but look up Nia DaCosta and there's some culture war stuff there, which is a bit concerning, because last thing we want is the follow-up to this to be like The Message, but hopefully that's reined in. So on the good faith of this film being good, I'm open to going to see that film as well. Because by the same extension, Danny Boyle, he's made some really stupid woke comments in recent times, but he's made a good film. So he didn't put that stuff in the film as such. Some people have said that he did, but I don't think he did. So what else is there to say? I think I'll leave it there. I've kind of rambled a little bit. I've literally just come from the cinema. I haven't composed my thoughts, as you can probably tell from watching this video, but I just wanted to do an initial video talking about what I thought about it. I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend people watch it. I think if you've been put off by bad reviews, give it a chance, because I was massively put off by the bad reviews and heard some very specific things about this, and I can see where people are coming from. It's not going to be for everybody, but it is for me, this one. 8 out of 10. Brandix Reviews, subscribe to the channel, like the video or dislike if you want, whatever, I don't care. And I'll just say thank you very much for watching.